go get uncomfortable with everything you do. You should make you uncomfortable, and that's what I do.
The conversations are great. I had a friend of mine in Palm Beach, and he bought this magazine that hadn't done a single production it was ridiculous, like 20 years. I never, ever saw a copy of the magazine. I don't think he ever even produced it, but he bought it. And so he bought the media badge. So every time there was a concert, he was backstage. Every time there was an unveiling, a show, an award show, he was backstage because he had a media pass because he owned this media agency, this magazine. But he used it as a point of access. We don't need that now because when you own your own podcast, excuse me, and you're focused on having a good conversation to distribute the guest and get them into a wider audience, it's very similar to having that media pass. And as you've just said, you can have conversations with people you never would have thought you would have had a conversation with. And the other good thing is there's no flight, there's no expenses, so there's no cost. So people are a lot more open to do it. You say about Jeffrey Madoff, I had Sammy the Bull Gravano the other day, the hitman to the Gotti and Gambino family. I don't know what circle I have ever had to have been in to be able to have spent 3 days with him in Arizona. But if you have a podcast, now it opens other doors. So you've got distribution, you've got the increase of credibility. Let's look at a pocket budget.
Before we get there, can we go back to one more statement what we just talked about? I know it's your show. Yeah. I apologize for trying to take over.
It's not. It's the Speakeasy show, but carry on.
All right. So one of the podcast things was about talking to celebrities, right?
Okay.
I'm originally from San Diego and LA, so that's not a major issue for me. It's not like I'm going for them. But they had about 8 of them on stage, and they were talking about how they said, well, they think podcasting is the new media. So they want to be on people's podcasts because that's how they can get in, like you said, in other people's sandbox. And one of the things they talked about is if you want to have us on your show, please do a little research about us. Please find out how it's going to benefit us. And then one of the guy was an actor, and he's like, if you go to my Instagram page and it says to talk to my manager, you better be talking to my manager and not hit me up through Instagram. And he was just saying, we all want to be on your podcast, but we want you to tell us why it's important for us to be on your podcast. And it was, Eric, the trainer down there.
Yeah.
He was there and he was really nice. And they had Chef Rush, Chef Rush is, he was there. And so that was their whole group. And they're all like, yeah, we'll be. So I have every one of them coming on my podcast because I talked to them afterwards and they all want to be on your podcast.